Leading against Brentford by 2-0. And the Bees have got to really step up in this second half. Because although they had a decent start in the first 10-15 minutes, once Brighton got the ascendancy and scored that first goal, they looked in control. And Thomas Frank's side really do have to improve in the second half now. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Tom McGarry taking you through the action.
Yeah, they do, because as you say, aside from those opening 10-15 minutes, they've been very much second best, passive, giving the ball away cheaply in dangerous areas as well, which allow Brighton to build up a head of steam and eventually get those 2 goals in the latter part of the half.
Well, here come Brentford now, but ball in from the left-hand side from Dominic Thompson is way over here. No chance of picking out a teammate in a yellow Brentford away shirt with that kind of cross. So I'll just remind you the 2 11s, because there has been a change at half-time for both teams. Brighton, Robert Sanchez in goal, a back four of Tariq Lamptey, Adam Webster, Dan Burn and Mark Cucurella. 2 holder midfielders, Enoch Mwepu and Jakub Moder. The 3 ahead of them are Alexis McAllister, Adam Lallana and Danny Welbeck, who comes on for Neil Maupay, who comes on for Leandro Trossard, I should say, with Neil Maupay continuing as the number 9 up front. For Brentford, Alvaro Fernandez is in goal. Back 3 of Mads Beck Sorensen, Pontus Jansson and Ethan Pinnock. The 2 wide men are Sergi Canos and Dominic Thompson. 3 in midfield are Shandon Baptiste, Christian Norgard and Frank Onyeka, who comes on for Matthias Jensen at half-time. And up front, it's Johan Visser, who came on in the first half for Brian Buemo, alongside Ivan Toney, as Baptiste tries to close down Cucurella down the left-hand side. It is out for a throw to Brighton. And from Brighton's point of view, Tom, I would say that the mistake from them, for their point of view, was to deviate from what they were doing towards the end of the first half. Keep putting pressure on this Brentford team. Keep testing this second goalkeeper, because if they sit back, that gives Brentford a chance to get in the game.
Absolutely. They played well for the majority of that first half on the front foot, and they should continue in the same vein. I mean, there's the possibility of more goals in this for Brighton if they continue to push forward, but they've been on this long winless run, and naturally the doubts and the nerves will start to set in as the second half goes on, so you might start seeing them sit back. But certainly for the opening 15-20 minutes, they should be trying to play in exactly the same way.
Well, we've had a player on the field for less than 2 minutes here, Frank Onyeka, and he seems to have taken a bit of a blow to the face as he was tussling with Enoch Mwepu there. It has actually been given us a free kick to Brighton after all of that, but Onyeka only just on the field, needed a moment there just to compose himself as Adam Webster takes a long free kick, fires that one over the top. It's taken down by Welbeck. He leaves it for Maupay, then it goes back towards McAllister, left-hand edge of the penalty area. Here is Moder, and he played a ball hitting hope into the box, really. If he'd have just waited a second, he would have seen the overlap from Cucurella.
Yeah, it was a good position for Brighton. Cucurella was trying to make up a head of steam down the left-hand side, but Moder, as you say, didn't see the pass. But lovely control by Danny Welbeck to start that, to bring it down. Real presence and strength, which is what we mentioned in the first half, something that Brighton do miss when he's not involved.
Absolutely. I mean, he's had his injury problems over the last 5 seasons, Danny Welbeck, but there's no denying his technical ability. He is a very, very good forward, does hold the ball up well, can play in a wide position or through the middle as well. But here is Welbeck now, just flicking that ball away from Ethan Pinnock, but just behind him is Pontus Jansson. He sweeps up for Brentford. Canos plays an early ball, left-footed ball over the top, just eludes Baptiste. Visser will chase this one down, but it gets back to Brighton keeper Robert Sanchez. On clearance from Sanchez, missed by Mwepu. Onyeka just plays that on towards Thompson, and then it's off Mwepu for a throw to Brentford down the left-hand side. That's Beck Sorensen takes the ball here for the Bees. Somehow I don't think he'll be launching this one into the box, just takes it short to Thompson. Inside now to Onyeka, back to Sorensen. Now it's with Norgard. Wants to put in a good shift in the second half now that he knows he's missing Brentford's next game, which is at home to Man City. Ball now played off Visser towards Onyeka. Right-hand edge of the penalty area. Here is Canos. His ball into the box, just away from Baptiste. And then a really scuffed and overhit effort there from Thompson. Reaches the left-hand edge of the penalty area as Brighton look. Cucurella trying to get that ball away. And then it looks like Welbeck was caught in possession at the edge of his own box. Chance here for Brentford now as Onyeka puts a cross in, which is charged down by Dan Burn. And then Onyeka doing very well there against the bigger Dan Burn to make sure that goes out for a corner.
Yeah, a decent start to the second half from Brentford, like we saw in the first. Plenty of industry and pinning Brighton back. It's just whether they can get themselves a goal early to get themselves back into it, or at least sustain this pressure, because it very quickly disappeared as the first half wore on.
Sergi Canos with the corner from the right-hand side. It's going to be an outswinger. Coulson Buemo took all the corners from the right-hand side in the first half. He's off the field now. So it's Canos' ball over towards Janssen, who heads it towards goal, but it's a header that was directed towards goal. It wasn't really a powerful header that could have caused the goalkeeper any trouble, and it's an easy save for Robert Sanchez. Bowls this out quickly for Jakub Moder. Inside now to Mwepu. Now Lamptey, back to Mwepu. Brighton in possession on the halfway line now with Alexis McAllister. Back towards Dan Burn. Just a bit of housekeeping in case you haven't heard or seen across the apps or across social media that the game between Arsenal and Wolves that was due to be played on Wednesday has now been postponed. That's obviously due to the COVID pandemic. In fact, it might have been on Tuesday. I think the game was due to be played on Tuesday. I do beg your pardon because with this being a bank holiday and it being a Sunday, it's thrown everything out. But it is the 28th that game was due to be played, and that game has now been postponed. In the meantime, Brighton in possession here with Webster over to Mwepu down the right-hand side. Runs that ball into Baptiste, and Brighton have a throw.
Yeah, Brighton trying to grow into this second half like they did in the first. I think Frank Onyeka's added a bit of energy and industry in the middle of the park as well for Brentford. A bit more poise in there, if you like. But Brighton growing into this second half, and yeah, as we mentioned, we want to see them continue to play in the same vein, because if they do sit back, you imagine, and that will hand the initiative to Brentford. And if Brentford get a goal back, then the nerves are really going to start jangling around the ground.
Absolutely. With this long run that Brighton have been on, the throw-on is cut out here by Norgard, and Brentford can go on the counter. Norgard just plays that ball through towards Johan Visser. Back to Norgard, who carried on his run. He gets into the penalty area. Dan Burn is there, trying to shepherd him away. Played back towards Shandon Baptiste. He underplayed that pass to Dominic Thompson, but it's still good work there from Mwepu to win that ball back for Brighton. Plays it back to Lamptey. And now he plays it square towards Dan Burn, over towards the left-hand side for Cucurella. And Cucurella's ball now inside towards Moder. Now it's with Welbeck down the left-hand side, back to Moder. Welbeck with options ahead, just finds Cucurella, who runs straight into Canos, out for a throw to Brighton down the left-hand side. But it's important for Brentford not to lose that initiative, and already just getting to see signs that Brighton are trying to push a bit further forward now.
Yeah, one or two signs. Danny Welbeck is doing a decent job of holding the ball up and linking the play for Brighton. And yeah, it's one or two signs the Seagulls are starting to see a little bit of more of the ball once again. And Graham Potter will be determined to keep his side pushed as high up the pitch as they can for as long as possible.
Absolutely. The throw there towards Mopé, just played away by Pontus Jansson. Ivan Toney there under pressure from Dan Burn. Brighton back in possession here now with Cucurella. Plays it forward for Moder, who's got space here on the left-hand side. And he's got an overlap from Cucurella. He finds him. Cucurella's ball along the ground. Gets into the penalty area. It's Mopé who swipes a left-footed strike, which is a long way away from goal. Needed a bit more composure there, Mopé, because there were passing options on as well. Yeah,
needed the composure and quality of finish that we saw from him in the first half on his right foot. This one on his left, the angle's completely against him. I think he's lost his bearings, hasn't he, once he latches onto it with his left boot, and he just thrashes at it wildly, as you say. It probably would have been better looking to lift the ball or pull it back to a teammate who would have been in a better position.
Long clearance now from Alvaro Fernandez, the Brentford keeper, headed on by Ethan Pinnock. Chased down here by Baptiste, but Dan Burn will get there first. He plays it back to his goalkeeper, Robert Sanchez. And a bouncing ball from Sanchez for Lamptey. Won't thank his keeper for that, puts him under a bit of pressure before Webster eventually clears the ball long. The ball bounces over the head of Mopé. And Brentford now back in possession. 54 minutes gone. Independent off-tube studio commentary. Brighton 2, Brentford 0. That is the scoreline that we had at half-time. So the goals coming on 34 minutes from Trossard and 42 minutes from Mopé. Brentford in possession now with Pontus Jansson. And Sorensen now stepping forward. Gets the ball to Dominic Thompson, who's trying to push a bit further forward in this second half. His crossing has been a little bit wayward, but he needs to get further forward as the ball from Norgard to Visser is stopped there by Jakub Moder. And here is McAllister now running straight into Baptiste, playing it back to Moder. Inside now to Lallana, who's actually playing a little bit more in a defensive role than I was expecting. I had him down as the number 10, but actually McAllister with the number 10 on his shirt seems to be there, and it's Lallana that's sat a little bit further back.
Yeah, he's been in the kind of midfield area, almost the deepest line, with Moder and Mwepu getting a bit more license to get forward.
Here was Mwepu's long ball into the penalty area. Modder was the one furthest forward, and it needed a good challenge there from Pontus Jansson to get that ball away. That's out for a corner.
Yeah, prime example there. Lallana in behind Mwepu, sweeps the ball forward, and as you say, Modder's the most advanced player in a Brighton shirt.
Well, Pontus Jansson does well to put the ball out, but actually if he was in line with the rest of his teammates, there would have been enough side there. I mean, he's shaking his head as if his teammates have let him down, but actually it's the captain that wasn't leading by example on that particular occasion. And Alexis McAllister now puts the ball down. It's going to be a right-footed in-swinger from the left-hand side. Plenty of activity inside that Brentford penalty area. A couple of players waiting at the edge of the box as well. McAllister's ball towards the near post, headed away by Norgard, taken down by Lallana, back to Lamptey, and then back towards the halfway line where Cucurella was the furthest man back for Brighton. Now it's with Modder on the left-hand side. Brentford trying to push out, but still plenty of space here for Brighton to work the ball on the left-hand side. A little back heel there from Welbeck to Cucurella is stopped by Thompson, but McAllister and Welbeck keep the ball alive. McAllister hits the deck. Referee Darren England waits a few seconds, but once again gives Brighton a free kick in a dangerous position. Yeah,
good refereeing there from Darren England. It was nicely worked by Brighton, lovely one-touch passing, and he's just caught McAllister, who Maupay was trying to return the ball to, but because McAllister was on the floor, the pass didn't find him, and the referee rightly brings it back. And Brighton had a few of these free kicks in the first half where they didn't really threaten Alvaro Fernandez. This is another one, slightly wider on the left-hand side, but it's an opportunity to get a shot on goal or good delivery into the box.
Absolutely. I think a shot might actually be more prescribed here, because with it being so close to the edge of the area, a cross means you really do have to time it. Brentford trying to keep a solid offside line here, but Modder has got options. He can shoot, he can cross. Cucurella is there as well. Cucurella leaves it. Modder's going to shoot. It hits the side of Johan Visser in that two-man wall, but the loose ball kept alive here by Cucurella. Back to Modder, who wastes the opportunity, really. I don't know if he was going for some kind of very flash finish underneath the crossbar, but really he should have tried to just play that ball across the 6-yard box.
Well, the whip and pace and power he got on that cross would have suited the initial free kick a bit more, because both efforts were disappointing for different reasons. Modder couldn't pick out a teammate.
He's shooting there, isn't he? I think
he might well be. Yeah, it's certainly, if it's not a shot, it's a wildly overhit cross.
Certainly no chance of a teammate getting on the end of that. Sergi Canos surrounded by Brighton players, but does well to get the ball away, plays it into Baptiste, just about gets into Norgard, who back heels it towards Canos, and suddenly it opens up for Brentford. Canos, he overplays it, but he carries on his run himself, and he strikes towards goal. It's a real shame that from Sergi Canos, because he did really well to actually start the move and keep the move alive, but it was almost like he believed too much that this was his shot, this was his goal, when really there were better options in the penalty area.
Yeah, we've seen it on a few occasions from both sides now, a lack of composure in the penalty area. He works his way into a great position, but he's coming away from goal, the angles against him, and just needed to show that bit more composure, get a touch on the ball. He had players up in support, Visser in particular in a good area, but as you say, I think he saw his headline up there and the effort was rather poor.
Disappointing effort in the end as Brighton play out from the back with a short goal kick. They might regret it now, because there's plenty of Brentford players pushing forward, but now it's a long clearance from Adam Webster. Pontus Jansson will get there first ahead of Neil Maupay. He goes back towards Alvaro Fernandez. Short ball to Sorensen. There's 4 Brighton players close to the Brentford penalty area now, but the Bees do get the ball away. Thompson finds Baptiste, and then Onyeka taken out there by Webster. I'm just trying to see, as that has been given as a free kick in the end. And this may be the first Brighton player getting a booking this evening.
Yeah, I think that's why Adam Webster was not happy with the referee. He goes flying and he takes a bit of the ball, but it's a rather cumbersome challenge from Webster. So he's, as you say, first Brighton player to be booked his third yellow of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not enough these days to say you got a bit of the ball. These days the referees can give you yellows or even reds if they think that the challenge you had was out of control. Even if a little of the ball is had, it seemed to be the oldest get-out-of-jail-free card, really, for players. Well, I got the ball, and up until, certainly the early 90s, that was an excuse that always worked. If you got the ball, it didn't really matter what happened after that. But these days, of course, just trying to look after the players' safety a little bit more, get those tackles under control. And it does mean, of course, you've just got to be so much more precise with it. But Brentford trying to get away from their own half as Johan Visser runs straight into Dan Burn. And then a loose ball left by Lallana for Webster. And Ivan Toney's able to capitalise. The ball is now with Visser. He gets the ball in towards Baptiste. Baptiste with the effort. He takes a slight deflection, which wrong-foots Sanchez. And as he's diving right, he just about gets enough of his body to the left and saves it, and it goes out for a corner.
Yeah, it's a brilliant piece of goalkeeping from Robert Sanchez to keep Brighton's 2-goal lead intact. Brentford work it well. Visser with an intelligent ball in field, and it's a decent strike from Baptiste, and as you say, wicked deflection. That ball's moving everywhere in the air, and Sanchez going to his right has to readjust to his left, and I think it's his shin that gets it behind for the corner.
Absolutely. It's David De Gea that made saves with the feet very trendy, and all the goalkeepers are learning it now, but on that occasion it was needs must for Robert Sanchez, and it's out for a Brentford corner. The corner from Canos is a bit low, headed away by Welbeck. Second ball is back with Onyeka. He heads it back towards Canos, right-hand edge of the field. Canos now drops a shoulder, puts a left-footed cross in, which is headed down by Pinnock. That's a really good save by Robert Sanchez, because the header from Pinnock didn't seem to be particularly powerful, but I think he got a little bit of pace once it got headed off the turf, and it looks like the goalkeeper might have hurt himself in that save as well.
Yeah, I think the shoulder has collided with the post, but second brilliant save from Sanchez in the space of 30 seconds. Good ball in from Canos, and Pinnock, as you say, it's a glancing header, and off that slick surface it really gathers pace, so he has to get down really quickly to his right hand side, Sanchez, and be brave. He claws it away, and then collides really nastily with the post.
He does, and he still got up to try and get save the second effort, which in the end wasn't necessary. He's just checking that right shoulder of his, and it looks like he is going to be okay. Certainly he's been after the issue with Matt Ryan, who seemed to be Brighton's first keeper come what may, and suddenly he sort of fell out of favour halfway through last season, and he's pretty much been Sanchez ever since.
He has, and he's established himself in the Spanish squad over the second half of this year as well. He's handling sometimes I think can be called into question, but as a shot stopper we've seen it there, those two really good saves and important saves, because if Brentford get the goal back now, then the momentum really shifts in their favour. But Sanchez, with those stops, has kept Brighton in a reasonably comfortable position.
Absolutely. It just means that they maintain that 2-goal lead. Kjell Scherpen from Holland, 21-year-old, is Brighton's keeper on the bench should Sanchez have to go off. But here come Brentford again with Visser making a nuisance of himself in the box. The ball is played away. Thompson tries to cushion it down here for Baptiste. That's good play, though, from McAllister to get his body in the way. He's drawn quite a few free kicks off the Brentford players this evening.
He's had a good game, hasn't he, McAllister, yes. Both going forward with some of his deliveries into the box and from a defensive point of view, because he is playing as that number 10, we think, but there's almost a fluidity, isn't there, with McAllister, Mwepu, Moder and Lallana. They're rotating and filling in for each other when needs be. It's good to see, but on Brighton as a whole, these last 5 minutes, they've got a little bit nervy, a little bit scrappy from a defensive point of view, and that's inviting Brentford forward and creating opportunities for the visitors.
It is, and it also just shows how important those saves from Sanchez were. Because with Brentford just slightly getting into a bit of a rhythm now, if one of those efforts had gone in and made it 2-1 with just under half an hour still to play, could have made things very interesting as Ivan Toney is bundled off the ball there. Alexis McAllister with a slightly frustrated look, but it is a Brentford free kick, which the Bees don't hang about in taking. It's Canos now down the right-hand side, playing it back towards Ethan Pinnock. And over towards Pontus Jansson now. Sorensen on the left-hand side. Brentford's enjoying a bit more of the ball in the second half, but still not really able to get that kind of consistency in front of goal. They've had a couple of efforts now in the last few minutes, and that's an improvement for them. But they're going to try again now down the right here with Sergi Canos. He plays it square to Frank Onyeka. Sorensen joining the attack now down the left-hand side, but Brighton, barring Welbeck, are back in numbers, making it that much more difficult for Brentford to try and get forward. Janssen now over to Sorensen, tries a longer ball this time. That's straight into Tarek Lamptey, though, and now Brighton can break out here. Lamptey carries on his run. It's a good run. It's all the way towards Danny Welbeck now at the edge of the area. Welbeck trying to get that ball onto his right foot, overplays it slightly. Onyeka is able to dispossess him, but then he is himself dispossessed with a poor pass from Christian Norgard, just eluding him. Brentford do win it back, but still looking a little bit disjointed here as they try and play out from the back. They know, of course, that should Brighton score a third, that pretty much is the game done and dusted. So although Brighton looking a little bit nervous, you see that as soon as Brighton get into the Brentford half, the visitors are looking nervous as well.
Yeah, defenders backpedaling, weren't they, there as Tariq Lamptey burst forward. He had far too much pace for Christian Norgard as well, but it's been a little bit untidy from Brentford, hasn't it, at times at the back when they're clearing the lines and getting the ball up towards the halfway line. I think that's where they've come undone. They haven't been able to find that quality into the feet of whether it's Tony and Buemo in the first half or Visser now.
Well, as a long ball goes over the top now, one for Mopé to chase, but Pinnock is there first, hooks it away. Doesn't get much distance on it though. That goes straight to Modern, and now it's with Cucurella. Played to the edge of the area, deflected away by Pontus Jansson. It drops to McAllister. McAllister with the effort, and that is not far away at all. Fernandes was diving, and he would like to think, I suppose, that he had that post covered, but it was very, very close.
Yeah, he catches it cleanly, doesn't he, McAllister? No one really getting out quickly enough from a Brentford point of view to close him down, and once he realises he can't get the ball through to Danny Welbeck, who was the player in advance of him, I think he was always going to take that shot on and just drags it slightly into the near post.
Yeah, Iranian international Sam Godos is getting ready to come on. This is the second game in a row that he's come on to play on that left-hand side. It's not really his natural position. Came on to replace Rico Henry in the game against Chelsea in the Cup in midweek, in exactly the same position, and that's that left wing-back position, I suppose. He really is an attacking midfielder by trade, so I suppose it is an attacking change. Whether or not he'll provide that cover on the left if Brighton are attacking, I suppose, is another matter.
Yeah, well, I think it's a gamble that perhaps Thomas Frank needs to make, because Thompson struggled from the attacking point of view. He's given the ball away quite a lot in needless areas.
Crossing was a bit wayward as well.
Yeah,
so I think from that point of view,
Godos, quality,
yeah, he's a right footer. He won't use his left foot too much to cross it, but if he gets the time to cut in on his right, then you'd hope from Brentford's point of view that the quality of the delivery should be better. But that's a long way away, man. Brentford actually have to get close to that penalty area first. They're stuck on the halfway line now with Sorensen playing a ball over the top for Onyeka to chase. Webster gets there first and heads it out. It won't be a corner, but it will be a throw on to Brentford right by the corner flag. So a chance to at least send players further forward.
Yeah, it could be the Sorensen long throw special, and yeah, he's making his way forward. And you're reaching that territory, and Brentford are going to have to start knocking on the door a little bit more and asking one or two questions of Brighton. There was two quick-fire efforts that were saved by Sanchez, but that's really been about it in this second half.
Yeah, struggling apart from that, really, aren't they, Brentford? And now they've got this throw on the left-hand side. Sorensen taking as long a run-up as he can, leaning on those advertising boards for launching one to the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed on by Tony. Norgard is there. The keeper's punched it. It's heading underneath the crossbar, and it's eventually out for a corner. There is a Brighton man down. Cucurella is picking himself up, though. Don't think there was ever any doubt of the ball being overlined. Certainly no suggestion of Darren England's watch going off in terms of goal line technology, but that was close.
It was. It's brilliant defending from Cucurella on the line. It's actually a really good headed effort as well from Ethan Pinnock. He loops it over the tallest man in the division, doesn't he? And Dan Burn covering the line, but Cucurella's behind his centre-back with Sanchez out of position as well, and does brilliantly to clear.
That's exemplary from Cucurella. It really is, as the corner is whipped in. Still inside the penalty after the initial header was blocked, and now chance here from Webb, who just drops the shoulder, gets away from Sorensen, and then fires the ball over towards the left-hand side. Puts Modder under pressure, loses the ball. Visser then puts an early cross in. It's a little bit too early, though. You could see why Visser was doing that. He wanted to try and keep the pace of the move alive, but it meant that the accuracy was a little bit off. And the ball now back with Robert Sanchez. We've gone past the three-quarter mark in the game. 68 minutes gone. It is Brighton 2, Brentford 0, and it will be Tom to take us through to full-time.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Mark Cucurella bringing the ball forward for Brighton. He's got Modder in support down that left-hand side. Cucurella once more, high up the pitch, feeds it into Mopé, who we haven't seen too much of in the last 10-15 minutes. Modder infield to Welbeck. Cucurella once again. In fact, Brighton will settle for the throw on the far side as the last touch comes off the heels of a Brentford player. It has been Brentford on top for the majority of this second half. They're edging possession now since half-time. More shots on and off target. But it's Brighton on the attack now. Cucurella gets the ball into the box. It's half cleared away by Onyeka. Comes to Cañas on the right-hand side. He tees up Pinnock, who puts his foot through the ball. Doesn't get too much distance on it, though, the centre-back. Brighton will look to come again with McAllister. It's a little bit untidy down the left-hand side. Again, Pinnock can't quite clear. Mopé helps it into the area. Sorensen heads it almost off the toe of Danny Welbeck, and now first real involvement for the latest substitute into the game, Godos, on the left-hand side for Brentford. He feeds it infield towards Ethan Pinnock. Now Canos on the right-hand side, back in towards Pinnock once more. He'll look to switch the ball with his left foot out towards Godos. It's well read by Lamptey, who slides in and diverts the ball out for a throw-in. We're approaching the final 20 minutes of this contest. Brighton 2, Brentford 0. You can sense there is an urgency about Brentford, but if they do throw too many bodies forward, then the gaps will open up for Brighton at the other end.
Yeah, I think at this stage Brentford need to be need to risk, but it needs to be a calculated risk. I think if we get to 10 minutes to go and they're still 2-0 down, then they can start throwing a bit more caution to the wind and say, well, we're going to lose this game unless we do something drastic. But right now they've got to start committing a few more men forward, but still remember there's plenty of time to try and get back into this game.
Sergi Canos feeds it infield for Brentford, and it's worked across to the left-hand side via Norgard to Sorensen. He's got Godos outside, and he finds the substitute who stretches to get to the ball. Lamptey slides in with a full-blooded challenge. I think it's a corner that has been given into the final 20 minutes and a chance for Brentford.
Well, I just wonder, looking at the way Darren England, his hand gesture there, it almost looked as though, I initially thought he was pointing for a goal kick, but now when I look at it again, he may well be saying that that's a foul from Tarek Lamptey, because in theory you could say he doesn't really get any of the ball or very little of the ball, and it has actually been given as a free kick.
Yeah, it's again like the challenge we saw earlier from Webster. You can get the ball or some of it, but if it's a little bit over aggressive, as that may have been deemed by Darren England, then free kicks can be given. So it's still over on the far side, 10 yards in from the corner, so a decent area for Brentford to lift the ball into the box. Godos is standing over it. Got players lurking on the edge of the area as well. In fact, he goes towards Onyeka, who's low crossing. It's really poor and a waste from Brentford. Morpay able to hook it clear.
Yeah, we're talking about Brentford taking risks, but if they're not going to do basic things like getting a simple free kick into the box to try and put a defence under pressure, well, then there's no point in taking any risk, because they're not even doing the easy stuff right. So that really is disappointing there from the visitors. They're back in possession, but it's on the halfway line. Yeah,
poor delivery, and wrong choice from Godos to go short, and then the quality from Onyeka wasn't really there. Janssen has it though for Brentford inside the centre circle, works it across to Sorensen. Brighton seemingly now starting to sit a little bit deeper as they think about hanging on to that lead. The ascendancy is certainly with the team in yellow. Janssen once more into the feet of Baptiste, who squeezes it across to Madsbek Sorensen. Now Norgard, left-hand side. Brighton deep, everyone behind the ball, everyone 10 yards or so inside their own half as Janssen tries to bypass that through towards Tony. Nice attempted flick around the corner for Visser, but Webster, alive to it, is able to clear.
He is able to clear. I think in the meantime a flag has gone up as well. Linesman's just confirmed that, so this move has been and gone for Brentford, but it's Janssen's ball from the halfway line, and yeah, Tony is visibly behind Dan Burn. Does well to get the touch, but he moved to that ball from an offside position.
Yeah, Janssen trying to feed it through to him, and Tony probably shouldn't have been offside, even though he might not have been expecting the ball, but a little bit of frustration for him and Brentford as the attack breaks down. Brentford used all three of their substitutes now as well with the introduction of Godos, so Thomas Frank is showing his hand, so to speak, as Sanchez sends the free kick forward for Brighton. Janssen struggling to clear his lines, closed down by Welbeck, but he ricochets it against his opposite number 18, and it goes out for a Brentford throw-in on the, just in front of their own corner flag. Not much more Thomas Frank can do now. Both sides don't have that many options on the bench, but he's used all three of his substitutes.
He's used all three, absolutely. And looking at the players left behind on the bench, the only real player that could have perhaps done something in terms of forcing a bit more of an attack is Marcus Forss. But the Finnish striker is in Thomas Frank's bad books. There was a comment recently in one of the press conferences that Forss just isn't perhaps trying as hard enough as he should be. Which is never a good thing for a manager to say that in public. He obviously was frustrated, but here come Brighton now after Brentford lose the ball.
Yeah, it's Modder down the left-hand side, supported by Cucurella, who gets towards the byline. Can he deliver a cross? It's a decent one towards the far post, headed clear by Godos. It comes to the edge of the area to Adam Lallana, perhaps the player you want it to fall to from a Brighton point of view, but he sends that well over the top of the crossbar.
He does, yeah. Hand up an apology there from Lallana as well, because it really was a wayward effort. There were other options open to him. Cucurella, who's with that header off the line and the play he's had down the left-hand side, and there have been two great goals scored by Brighton this evening, so I suppose that's always going to put him just behind those chaps in terms of a man of the match award, but Cucurella certainly having a great game.
He is. Him and McAllister, for me, are the standout players. I mean, Morpay's gone off, one of the goal scorers at half-time, so probably you wouldn't have him in the man of the match running. Trossard. Trossard's the one who's gone off, and Morpay He's had quite a quiet second half, so I'd be looking at one of those two potentially as it stands, but there's still over 15 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Plenty of time for someone else in either team to step up to the plate. Canos has it for Brentford, goes back towards Pinnock. Now Norgard looking to feed it in Visser. They weren't quite on the same wavelength there as Byrne hooks it out into touch for a throw.
No, they weren't on the same wavelength, but Byrne read that immediately, didn't he? He got across and made sure that he put a good clearance in for a Brentford throw down the right-hand side.
Pinnock is the man to take it, as we mentioned in the first half. He does have a long throw as well. This one, though, midway inside the Brighton half, as the camera pans to Thomas Frank, still looking frustrated on the edge of his technical area, as Byrne again looking to clear his lines for Brighton. It'll go back out of play for another Brentford throw-in, which they've taken short. In fact, it's gone to Sorensen, driving through the middle. He's done well there. Madsbæk Sorensen finds Baptiste. Pinnock keeps it moving out to the right hand side. Canos, can he deliver the cross? No, it's blocked by Moderate Source. It'll come back to Sergi Canos on his left foot. Not again the best delivery, cleared away on the edge of the area by Mwepu, but Brighton again deep, everyone behind the ball, so Brentford can look to build up ahead of steam once more. It's Onyeka, but his pass is cut out by the busy McAllister. Credit to Onyeka, though, he does win the ball back, and now he's lacking options as he runs up a bit of a cul-de-sac, squeezes it into Pinnock on the halfway line. He'll bring the ball out now, finds Baptiste down the right-hand side. He's been marshalled by Cucurella, so he's got the support of Canos, which he uses. That's a dangerous ball in by Canos, perhaps a high boot against Visser. Referee lets the play go on as Brentford try and keep the attack alive down the left-hand side.
Well, there's a push on Ivan Toney at the edge of the area, and Tony's unhappy there. I think it's going to be a yellow card for the Brentford forward for a dive. I mean, initially I thought that Toney might have been appealing that he was fouled in the box here. Lamptey bumps into him. I mean, I've got to say, when you consider that Alexis McAllister was touched on the shoulder in the first half and then went down with a bit of a delay, I mean, I'm certainly not suggesting there's a foul there on Ivan Toney, but I'm not sure. I think the referee perhaps a little bit harsh in giving him a yellow there for a dive.
I'm surprised that he's actually given the yellow. There's a bit of a bump, but maybe Toney was already jumping down to the ground when the contact was made. But Darren England penalising the Brentford striker. Perhaps there was something in the yellow card as well for the reaction between him and Adam Lallana, but no penalty. Yellow card for Brentford's number 17. Sanchez sends the free kick long for Brighton, but straight to his opposite number, Alvaro Fernandez. We're approaching the final 13 minutes plus stoppage time. As we were at half-time, it's Brighton leading Brentford by 2-0. The visitors trying to change that. Pinnock with the long ball forward. It's well picked off, though, by McAllister. Now, by Mwepu out to Lamptey on the right-hand side. Lallana involved as well. Run into a little bit of a cul-de-sac there, though, Adam Lallana, and gives away possession. Picked up by Toney, who nutmegs McAllister, who was sliding in. Finds Baptiste, who slapped the quality of the ball over the top, and possession is turned over again. It's been hard for either side to retain the ball for any long periods over recent minutes. It's Welbeck cutting in for Brighton. Space opens up as he comes in from the left-hand side, but he's shot almost side-footed and tamed down the throat of Fernandez.
Yeah, there was a quick response there from Brighton in trying to get forward. Brentford, again, just not really consistently able to keep that ball up at the edge of the Brighton penalty area. And you have to say that over the 78 minutes we've seen so far, although Brighton have had spells where they've looked a little bit nervous, they just look more organised than Brentford.
Canos bringing it forward, though, for the Bees down the right-hand side. But again, the pass is short for Visser. It's picked up, though, by Norgard, who sweeps it into Toney, who might fancy a strike. He's trying to work it onto his right foot. His effort is blocked off the heels of Adam Webster, and the bounce favours Brighton and falls into the grateful hands of Robert Sanchez. Ivan Toney hasn't really had a sniff of a chance in this game.
No, he hasn't, and that's partly down to his teammates not getting him the service, but you also have to say that as a forward he has to try and get into those positions. Yeah,
it's been a frustrating evening for the top scorer for Brentford in the Championship, the record top scorer in the Championship last season, as Sanchez goes long for Brighton. Welbeck wrestling with Janssen, but Brentford have plenty of players back to tidy things up. It's Madsbæk Sorensen now in possession into Onyeka. Sorensen to Pontus Janssen, but he's inside his own penalty area, the Brentford captain, as they try and play their way out from the back. Pinnock back into Janssen once again, almost trying to lure Brighton a little bit further up the pitch. Brighton not taking the bait at the moment as Sorensen works out to the left-hand side, where Baptiste will drive forward, looking for some support, finds it in the form of Madsbæk Sørensen once again. Now Norgard, in the middle of the park for Brentford, back out towards Sørensen, who will carry the ball forward tentatively towards the Brighton penalty area, supported by Shandon Baptiste. Sørensen once again, but once they made it up towards the penalty area, Brentford in a couple of passes go back towards Janssen on the halfway line, back into their own half. They need to try and find a little bit of a spark, the visitors.
They do. They've just lost that little bit of momentum they had at one stage in the second half. Godos try and get now down the left-hand side.
Yeah, he cuts in away from Wepu. That's a better ball into the box, and a bit of a wrestling match between Byrne and Tony in the area. Brighton are able to scramble the ball clear. Welbeck making a nuisance of himself with Janssen. Again, Brentford come away with the ball. Norgard inside the centre circle, clipped over the top. Visser nods it down to Baptiste, who steps away from a couple of challenges, gets a shot away, but he was losing his balance as he hit that Shandon Baptiste, and it's an easy save for Sanchez.
Yeah, and he's got a bit of an injury there as well as he's hit the deck, Shandon Baptiste, which will be a problem for Brentford. They've used all three of their substitutions. There probably wasn't enough contact with Byrne to say there was a foul on Baptiste, so he still wanted to get the shots away himself.
Yeah, just a little bit worryingly, his left leg, his standing leg, almost buckled underneath him there as he was hitting that shot, but he is back on his feet and seemingly moving okay. Brentford throwing down the far side. Did Brighton knock the ball out there for him to receive treatment?
They did. They must have done, yeah, because Canos took the throw, and although Tony was chasing the ball, I think what he wanted to do was make sure that he got it straight into Robert Sanchez's hands so they couldn't waste any more time with the goal kick. But Brighton looking like they're getting to ready to make a double change. I saw Steven Alzate was getting ready to come on, but in the meantime, Brentford have won the ball back.
Yeah, Visser into Godos, into the penalty area. His cut back was aimed towards Tony, but it's blocked behind by Webster. Important block as well for Brentford corner. I think it's Pascal Gross as well, alongside Steven Alzate, that's being prepared for Brighton inside the final 10 minutes. Godos will take this corner though before the substitution is made. Look to lift it into the area. Decent looking ball as well from Godos, but it's headed away by Webster. Cucurella now trying to bring it clear for Brighton, but it clips his heels the ball as he does so, and Brentford can pick it up in a good position again. Godos looking to release Sørensen down the left-hand side. The centre-back's cut back, ricochets off Adam Lallana. Could have gone anywhere, but it's behind for a corner.
Yeah, it was good work there from Sørensen to get on the overlap. And Pontus Janssen very keen to let the referee know how he was elbowed or shouldered out the way in a previous move with the original corner kick. But Sørensen's ball into the right area. And having said that, though, Lallana is in the right place at the right time to make... Oh, I tell you what, has he handballed that?
He moved. That last angle we just saw, he moves his arm towards the ball. Initially, it looked like it struck his shoulder. Play is going on, so VAR had a look. Then they've decided it wasn't worth changing the referee's decision. Brentford corner comes to nothing initially. Tony trying to keep it alive down the right-hand side, but his attempted cross into the hands of Sanchez. It was just that last angle, wasn't it? It looked like Adam Lallana gestured his right arm towards the ball, but I suppose if it did still strike the top of the shoulder, then it can't be given as handball.
No, I think, as you say, they would have had a couple of other angles in the VAR studio. Made their minds up pretty quickly. There was nothing doing with that one. And Brentford now in possession, but it's still inside their own half.
Yeah, Onyeka looking to start this latest foray forward. Finds Norgard across to Sørensen, who's emerged as a bit of a decent attacking outlet as this second half has gone on, working in tandem with Godos. Norgard once more now into the feet of Baptiste. Again, Christian Norgard trying to dictate play from the middle of the park. Sørensen goes down the line to Godos, who has added a bit of a spark as well since coming on. Well, that's a loose ball though from Onyeka, trying to find Baptiste, and it's picked up by Modder down the left-hand side for Brighton, looking to carry the ball forward. He's matched stride for stride there by Baptiste, who comes away with the ball. Still the Brighton double substitution awaits to come on, Gross and Alzate.
Yeah, they still haven't made the change. Graham Potter there was very keen to tell the referee he thought that his player might have been fouled as Modder was robbed of the ball there, as Norgard now is robbed of the ball, but he was fouled.
Yeah, free kick to Brentford. Interesting to see if Brighton do go for the substitution. Now I imagine it's just their fresh legs that are going to be coming on. Gross, the first introduction for Adam Lallana.
Yeah, that's pretty much a like for like. It's interesting, though, that Steven Alzate, who can, of course, play as a forward, he's being ready to come on as well. So it may well be that he just wants to keep another fresh player on the field just to try and put some pressure. We'll see whether this is for Modder, whether this is for McAllister, or it may well be for Mope.
Yeah, I think they're the three candidates you would expect in, as you say, Gross, very similar kind of player, or can operate in a similar way to Adam Lallana. But Alzate Also waiting to come on, the Colombian international, it will be Alexis McAllister who's going to be replaced, and he's certainly put in a decent shift. So, as you say, fresh legs just to try and see Brighton over the line.
Yeah, well, we've got 6 minutes to play plus injury time, with the scoreline from the first half still maintained. 2-0 Brighton lead. You'd feel as though it really is last chance salute now for Brentford if they're going to get anything from this game.
Ethan Pinnock in possession. They do need to score pretty sharpish, the visitors, if they're going to set up a grandstand finish. Pinnock again involved down the line to Baptiste. Back towards Ethan Pinnock once again. He will switch it out from right to left. It's an ambitious ball. It's cut out by Danny Welbeck, who brings it down on his chest under pressure from Godos. Trying to link up with Lamptey. There's a coming together between Lamptey and Godos, which has left the Brighton man in a heat, but off the field of play. He's rolled off, so referee will be within his rights to allow play to continue. Lamptey is gingerly making his way back to his feet. Doesn't seem too much in it. Maybe just a slight foul from Godos, but I think Lamptey's okay.
Yep, he is okay. He's going to be okay to play on now, and he's back up on his feet. Free kick to Brighton, deep inside their own half, and the home fans, they'll be very pleased with this, I think, after the long run of 3 months, over 3 months since Brighton last won a league game.
Webster will take this free kick. He's had a quietly efficient game. The Brighton defence has been pretty strong on the whole. This free kick looks like it's going to run through for a goal kick, though, as Sorensen just watches the ball out of play despite the pressure from Neil Maupay. Goal kick taken quickly there by Fernandez, and out towards Pinnock on the right hand side. He's beckoning players to come towards him. He finds Baptiste, who's almost robbed of possession. Onyeka's on hand to help out, but again Brentford are forced backwards towards their goalkeeper Fernandez. Brighton sensing there might be a mistake they can capitalise on, closing quickly. Brentford do work it up towards Visser on the halfway line, but again, that's where it breaks down. That's where it's broken down a lot for Brentford in this game. 4 minutes plus stoppage time to play at the end of this match. We might get another 4 minutes on top of that in truth. So there is still time for Brentford, but it's not really looking likely at the moment.
No, it's not. That's the problem, is that there's still enough time to score 2 goals, but just when you think of how much time they've already had in this second half, and they've only really come close on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a struggle, and again, you have to praise Brighton defensively, but Brentford just lacking that bit of spark in the final third this evening so far, as Fernandez, a clearance forward, falls straight at the feet of Cucurella for Brighton. Welbeck back towards Gross, who clips it forward. Cucurella's continued his run, and he's done well there. His control forcing Janssen to come across and turn it out of play for a throw, which you'd imagine Brighton are going to be in no rush to get on with as they look to see out the clock. It's been a long time since the Seagulls had a win in the Premier League. You have to go all the way back to the 2-1 victory over Leicester on the 19th of September, over 3 months ago. It's hard to believe, really, as they're looking to make inroads and perhaps seal the victory now with Welbeck into Maupay. He tees up the curling effort, which was a brilliant one from Alzate, saved by Fernandez. It comes to Lamptey on the right-hand side. He looks to take on Godos. He's perhaps overrun it. He's gone down half-heartedly looking for a penalty. Referee not interested.
Referee is not interested. It's away, and they're out for a goal kick, but from Brentford's point of view, this is exactly what they don't want to see, is some Brighton forays into their half and into their box towards the end of the game.
Yeah, it's probably the first effort on target Brighton have had in this second half. Alzate curler, which Fernandez was always watching all the way and going to make the save, as Norgard now for Brentford into Onyeka inside the centre circle, but he's pressed hard by Pascal Gross. No free kick, play goes on. Baptiste now for Brentford. Again, he's forced to go backwards into Madsbæk Sorensen, who gets the ball under control and ventures over the halfway line. Feeds it back in towards Baptiste. Space for Godos on the left-hand side if they can get the ball out to him. It's a good ball, though, from Baptiste to find Norgard, edge of the area, into Tony. One more, and there's Canos. He finds Canos, whose low effort is tame and cleared away just about by Brighton. Brentford will look to come again. Pinnock back out towards Sergi Canos. Left-footed delivery from him, headed away by Webster on this occasion, and then hammered forward by Steven Alzate.
Yeah, back up towards the halfway line. Brentford almost had too many players over at one stage. The pass out to Canos, and then his effort was a disappointing one. But here comes Visser now.
Visser cutting in from the left. He might fancy a shot on his right foot. He does, and it's a really powerful strike from Johan Visser. It's wide of the target. Sanchez was diving quickly to his right-hand side. It's a good strike from Visser, but at this stage, is it the right option?
He's got to look around and see if there are any other players on there. As you say, it's not a bad effort, but it's one that goes out for a goal kick. allows the goalkeeper now to just set himself, work out what he's going to do in these precious seconds that Brentford are not going to get back.
Yeah, into the final minute now of the 90. Brighton are getting towards the finish line as they chase this elusive first win in over 3 months. Long clearance forward by Sanchez, headed clear by Pinnock for Brentford. We'll get a second bite of the cherry now, but his latest clearance is straight to the feet of Gross, and now Welbeck down the left-hand side. Tried to take the ball beyond Pinnock, but left it behind. Pinnock able to nip in. Quickly distributes the ball to Onyeka. Now Sorensen driving forward. It's getting towards now or never territory for Brentford in this game. Godos back into Madsbæk. Sorensen on the halfway line. Pontus Jansson now takes over the baton. Lack of movement in front of these Brentford central defenders. Sorensen almost asking the question now as he once more shifts it into Jansson. That's a more incisive ball forward to Norgard. Baptiste, it squeezes on towards Visser. Visser midway inside the Brighton half as we enter stoppage time. Only 3 minutes have been added on. Caños tries to get it beyond Cucurella, who stands his ground well. He'll need some support. He does well, actually, Cucurella. Flicks it against the heels of Norgard, out for a throw, and with only 3 minutes added on for stoppages, you'd say Brighton are just about there.
I would say so. You can't fault Brentford's effort in the second half. You can fault the quality of the effort at times. I think they have probably let themselves down in terms of the delivery, in terms of the final efforts towards goal. But combined with all of that, you have to say that Brighton really have put in a very good shift today. They've worked very hard, had to spend a lot of the second half in their own half, and by and large they've coped well, but they've got a chance to break out here now.
Yeah, Welbeck, Modder takes over the baton. It's not very tidy from Brighton, but they're still going. It's into the penalty area. Enoch Mwepu, in fact, trying to drive into the box. He's stopped in the end by Jansson, and it's turned behind for a corner.
Well, it is a corner, and that's with just 2 minutes of injury time to play. That really is time up as far as Brentford are concerned. They're not going to get enough time to try and get anything in this game, and this just allows Brighton to run down the clock.
Yeah, and you'd imagine this corner will be kept in the corner, if you like, rather than lifted directly into the box. Although Mwepu is one of the players that's made his way into the Brentford area. Gross has trotted across. He goes short to Morpay. Gross with his fresh legs rolls it into the feet of another one of the late introductions. In fact, that's Modder, who's gone down. Referee will allow play to continue. Morpay just going towards the corner flag. Visser and Baptiste battling to win it back, but Morpay gets what he wants, a throw, and a further chance for Brighton to run down the clock, and also Modder to receive a bit of treatment.
Yeah, Modder needs a bit of treatment here. We've got about 90 seconds of injury time still to play. Both sides have made 3 changes. This is an abdominal injury or a groin injury for Modder, so there certainly won't be a concussion substitution allowed for this. And it's a throw on to Brentford, to throw on to Brighton. I think he might even be down the right-hand side.
Yeah, final minute of stoppage time. Cucurella for Brighton into Modder, who's recovered. Cucurella takes over, tries to link up with Welbeck. It'll come towards the edge of the area, and Pascal Gross, his eyes lit up there, but he sliced his strike horribly wide of the target, and he's gone out for a throw on the Brentford left.
He has. If this was 5 minutes to go, you'd criticise Gross and say he's giving Brentford a possession for free, but with 45 seconds of injury time, don't think he'll make too much difference.
Yeah, Sorensen takes the throw in towards Pinnock, who's forced to hurry his clearance under pressure from Welbeck. Brentford have the ball. It's one last foray forward, you'd imagine, for them in search of what would now be a consolation goal. Caños into Onyeka. Sorensen brings it up towards the halfway line once again. Back in it goes to Frank Onyeka. Looks to drive forward into Tony, but Webster steps in. The Brighton defenders have really performed well in this game. Sanchez as well, those 2 big saves in quick succession midway inside this second half. Had one of those gone in, then it could have been a completely different story. But as it stands, Brighton are closing in on a first win in over 3 months, and indeed the final whistle has gone at the Amex. First half goals from Leandro Trossard and Neil Morpay, enough to hand Brighton a vital 3 points for them. They've beaten Brentford by 3 goals to 0.